Hello there, 7th graders. My name is Miss Bryant, and I'm going to explain the English 7B Unit 1 activity. It's a persuasive essay. All right, so the very first thing to do is make yourself familiar with the two short stories that have been in your tutorials. One is called The Mustache, and another is The Story of the Old Man Who Made Trees to Wither. They're two very different stories with two very different main characters. So it's important that you make sure you read those in order to do this activity. Okay, once you've done that first part, you have a chart that you're going to be filling out where you identify the main characters. So who's the main character in The Mustache? Who's the main character in The Old Man Who Made Trees to Wither? Then once you've identified those characters, you need to decide what type of conflict did those characters have. Any good story, a character has a conflict, and there's lots of different types of conflicts. It could be a character having a conflict with another character. It could be a character fighting nature or the odds. It could be a character versus the society, or it could be an internal conflict. It could be a character within themselves, inside the own character's mind. Just a hint, these two stories have very different main characters with very different conflicts, so they will not be the same. Okay. Now, this is the chart and what it looks like. It's the most important part there that I've circled. The most important part is knowing what the main problem was that the character was struggling against. Your whole essay is about that main problem and deciding which character had the more difficult struggle. So that's part B. Who did have the most difficult conflict between these two main characters? We have the old man and the neighbor in The Old Man Who Made Trees to Wither. Basically, this poor innocent old man has this nasty, cranky, jealous neighbor, right? Who is always jealous of everything that the good neighbor has, okay? Or you have in The Mustache, you have Mike, who's obviously the main character, and he interacts with his mother and his grandmother. They don't fight, they don't have a physical disagreement. So what's his conflict? There is a conflict there, but it's very different from the old fairy tale. Okay, part C, your outline. Now, once you've chosen and filled out the chart with their conflicts, your job is to convince your audience, to convince the teacher about which character had the more difficult conflict, which was the harder one that they had to deal with, and what makes it so difficult, in your opinion. You have to put yourself in their shoes and think of reasons why one character's conflict was more difficult than the other character. Okay, the outline looks like this. You do need to make sure you fill this all out. If you're not sure how to fill it out, this is when you stop and share with the teacher and say, I'm just not sure what to do at this point. But I'm going to give you an example on the next slide of a good intro paragraph. That's your most important part. You'll need a hook, which is, for example, a joke or a question. And you need a thesis statement where you state who had the more difficult conflict. Okay? Then the body paragraph is explaining the characters and their conflicts. And then at the end, you're going to restate your main idea. That's all a conclusion ever is. It's saying what you said in the beginning in a slightly different way. Okay, so here's a sample introductory paragraph from another 7th grade student last year. The student said, have you ever wanted to grow up fast, to become an adult, but then realize that being a kid is actually easier? That's what happened to Mike in The Mustache. Mike in The Mustache has a much more difficult conflict. In the beginning, Mike wanted to feel like an adult, but later on in the story, he realizes that he doesn't want to be one anymore because it can be tough. Now, that was her opinion. That's her thesis. You might disagree. But she, in her sample essay that's also online, she makes a pretty good argument for her statement here. Like I just said, her example essay, you can see it there hopefully, and I also put another sample on the website just so you can get an idea of what a good essay would look like. It's not perfect, but it's a good example. So if you're totally lost, read this, and I think it'll get the sparks going. We always say that it's good to share any of your drafts with a teacher so that they can give you some feedback. We're there for you. Okay? So before you submit your final draft, to share it with your teacher or another English teacher. Best of luck, and we can't wait to read what you write in this essay.